Today we will tackle the topic of conflict resolution in the workplace. But before we talk about how to resolve a conflict, let's talk about what conflict is and why it happens. What is conflict? Quite simply, conflict is the struggle between two or more people who see their goals as incompatible. You might have a conflict over a task, like who is supposed to do something, a process, like how something should get accomplished, or you might have interpersonal differences. Conflict is natural. Where there are people, there will be conflict. And conflict is not necessarily a negative thing. Even though you might disagree with someone else's viewpoint, opinion, or idea, there can be a positive outcome when it promotes discussion, facilitates innovation, or promotes the exchange of ideas. And it can help teams make better decisions or come up with better solutions. Certain types of conflict, however, do not strengthen an organization when they weaken the team, damage trust, or distract employees from their work. So what is it about conflict that makes it so difficult? Mostly it's how people deal with it. The most common way of dealing with conflict is to ignore it or avoid it, but unmanaged conflict can lead to an unpleasant work environment. Have you ever had the feeling like something is wrong between you and a colleague, but when you ask what's wrong, they just say nothing? The second thing people do is get aggressive. When this happens, emotions rise, and the other person is likely to get very defensive. It's important to rationally think through how best to deal with the situation and ask for assistance if needed. Now let's learn about conflict resolution. Conflict resolution is identifying and handling conflict sensibly, fairly, and efficiently so that you can do your job effectively. If you have conflict, first and foremost, you should make your supervisor aware so that he or she can help you resolve the conflict. There's a simple acronym you can use to remember the conflict resolution process: CARE. The first step is C, communication. Clear communication is key to resolving any dispute. The objective is to clarify what the disagreement is about. Each party should express how they feel about the situation and stick to the facts. Focusing on the problem at hand and not what the other person did will ensure effective communication. Remember to be respectful, and sometimes it's helpful to start with something positive. The second step is A, actively listen. Listen to what the other person has to say without interrupting. Try to be objective. Then ask open-ended questions to make sure you understand what the other person thinks and how they feel. The third step is R, review the options. Talk over the options and look for ways to meet a common goal. It's okay if you can't come up with a resolution immediately. If the conflict has escalated to where it's too tough to handle, think seriously about getting help from a third party, such as human resources, your supervisor, or the confidence line. And the final step is E, end with a win-win. This is the ultimate goal, to determine what is essential to resolving the conflict so that both sides benefit. When one party wins by aggressive behavior or one party simply gives in, someone always loses. And that means you get outcomes that do not resolve the underlying causes of the conflict. In summary, always remember these 4 steps: communicate, actively listen, review the options, and end with a win-win to help effectively resolve a conflict situation. If you don't feel at ease going through this process alone, don't ever hesitate to communicate with your supervisor or the confidence line to help resolve an issue. When we effectively manage our conflict, we will further develop our professional and personal relations.